Hi, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of the Force for Growth podcast. I'm Ricardo.
And I'm Jessie.
And this is a special episode because me and Jesse are going to start a relationship podcast.
We
And this
are.
is our dry trial run. So make sure you let us know what you think about us doing the podcast. And if you have any title suggestions, comment below with what we should call the podcast. We could really use your help with that one,
Yes, for sure.
right?
Any suggestions are welcome. Yes,
Suggestions are welcome.
absolutely.
Absolutely. So, what are we going to talk about today, baby?
So today we're going to be talking about growth mindset versus a fixed mindset in a relationship.
Ooh, and
Yes.
what do we mean by that? Break it down for us.
So the difference between a growth mindset is someone who is willing and interested in growing and learning, willing to adapt, and someone with a fixed mindset is someone who is just not in the same headspace. They're not ready to acknowledge the abundance of knowledge that there is. And typically their way is the only way.
Mm. And this is um, Carolyn. I can't
Carol
think of
Dweck.
Carol Dewitt. Yes,
Yes,
growth.
Carol Dweck.
Yeah. So if you want more information on that, make sure you go check out her book, and she breaks it down extensively.
Yes,
But we're going to talk about how this applies in relationships to relationships with relationships.
correct.
So, do I dare ask? These
A-
conversations are
Ask away.
unscripted. So,
Ask away, love. Ask away.
were you with a growth mindset or a fixed mindset?
When I met you, I definitely had a fixed mindset. And I did not know that you had a growth mindset because at that time we did not talk about that. That is not where our conversations evolved to. So I found that out at our first UPW because I didn't even know what a growth mindset was. So you had always been watching, just self development and reading books and audiobooks and things like that. And I would always roll my eyes and walk out the room. So,
You did do that. You
yes.
did. You did. And I remember those days. We call those the dark days of the Leon marriage.
They were definitely the dark days
Let me
for sure.
clarify though. I'm just picking. Part of it is picking. Part of it is truth. They were. We do call them the dark days, but we did have fun.
We
We
did.
did. We
We
did
had a
have a
good
good
time.
time. We had a good
For
time.
sure. Yeah, but they were definitely
Tougher
our dark
days.
days because we're not there anymore. We're both on the same page and we want the same things for the most part. A lot of our values are aligned, both for individual, family, businesses, things like that. Our values are just more in line now than they were in the dark days.
Yes. Yes. When we have, I feel like we have a deeper relationship than we used to. Also.
Oh, damn sure. Like, for sure. There is no doubt about it that our relationship is a totally different relationship than, the one when we first got in it, especially me. I'm not the same person. I don't think the same. I don't talk the same. I don't feel the same. I don't love the same. Like I'm definitely a different person than when you met me.
For
So,
sure.
I'm very proud of who I am now, and I it's interesting because I don't know how it would have gone had we met with my knowledge, with what I know now. It's
Ooh.
interesting to
That
talk
would have
about.
been interesting. So let's go back. UPW 2014 here in Dallas, Texas, with Tony
Yes.
Robbins. This was really your first dive into self development
Yes, it
because
was.
up to this point, you really weren't into much of anything.
No, I wasn't.
And you pretty much thought that you were stuck. And here's kind of the worst part out of all of this, if I remember correctly, is I didn't know you had a fixed mindset.
Correct, because again, we didn't talk about that.
We didn't talk about it,
That's
but I
not
didn't even see the signs. I didn't even try to analyze it or break it down. to
No,
see, be
because
like, oh, Jesse had a fixed mindset. Oh, what's going on here?
we were having fun.
We were
So,
having fun.
and I think that that's the main thing of our relationship when we first started. We both got in the relationship to have fun. Neither one of us thought that the relationship was gonna last. We didn't that's not what we, really got into relationship for. We just were it's now looking back, I think we were so brutally honest to each other because we didn't think it was gonna be a long-term relationship. Think about like everyone that dates, friends that we know that are dating, they kind of have a hard time being themselves and, telling wants and, desires and things like that to each other because they feel for some reason that they have to portray a certain way. We were both of us, we were so brutally honest with each other because again, we didn't think, you know, that it was gonna be a relationship that lasted at all. It was, we got in the relationship for fun.
Correct.
So we never talked about growth or fixed mindset. That was not, what I don't even think we talked very much.
We really didn't. Not about anything to this level.
No, no at
Not
all.
to this level.
No.
Definitely not to this level.
Our
Because
conversation
you didn't
started
because you
happening at
you didn't
UPW.
you didn't really wanna have these conversations,
Oh
first of all.
no, I was not willing. I was not open. I didn't want it. Like I would run. I would run from these conversations because again, like in my head, this was just a fun,
Thing
a fun thing. It was just a fling that had already,
taking
lasted a
place.
while, gotten married, and had a child. In my
So,
head, we still were a fling.
even after we for real. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
so let's hold on. We're at the 7-minute mark of our dry run here for the relationship podcast. That may not happen at this point after that comment. But
I have to be honest
but
though.
let's break this down here because we're actually made a deal that we were gonna be honest and blunt when we have these recordings, when we
Correct.
record this podcast. So a lot of things are gonna come out during these conversations that
We've never talked
we've
about.
never talked about.
Correct.
And that's really one of the reasons that this podcast was born was because we've been having these conversations and we came to the realization that hey, maybe we should put this on audio and record this and put this on the podcast to help others.
hmm I mean, like I said, we see a lot of our single friends struggling with communication in their, dating lives. And we see our married couples struggling in their relationships because of communication.
Correct.
And here we are where I feel that we're just,
In a good
man,
place.
we're
No pun
such in a
intended.
good place. No, I mean, honestly, I know, ironically enough, we're watching that show. But, anyways, we're in such an awesome spot when it comes to our communication right now. I I just I sometimes feel guilty that we are just so happy. Our communication is amazing and I don't want to come off as I'm bragging, but it's like I'm happy and I'm so proud of all of our hard work. It took a lot for us to get here
It
and,
did.
a lot of disagreements and a lot of not being on the same page. And I'm so happy and proud of us. And we see the struggle in so many people right now. And it breaks my
It's
heart for them.
tough.
Like it's very tough. It's very, very tough. And sometimes it's hard because I don't wanna post things on social media, because I'm just like, I don't like it. I know what they're going through, and it just I feel bad,
It sucks.
and I just wish I could help, help them communicate and understand why they're struggling, but I can't do the hard work for them, like, all I can do is give the examples that we've done, and they can either choose to do it or not, and that's
That's the bottom
unfortunately
line
it i
because
it
Stone
it is
Cold
the
said
bottom
so.
line, but it sucks.
So let's go back to UPW.
Okay.
And I remember the conversation where this started to come up.
I'm gonna get sweaty. I remember this conversation.
You should get sweaty.
I'm gonna get like my back is already starting to sweat. Okay.
Oh, well, this is just episode 1, baby. This isn't even episode 1. This is like test episode 1.
Test episode beta
Yeah, this is
1.
like beta 1.
Yeah.
And you're already getting sweaty.
I
and we're
am.
not
I'm
even
getting
down
sweaty
to the
because
nitty-gritty.
I'm sweaty because I'm embarrassed of being so honest with where I was at.
But let's think about the people that we will help with
I know.
sharing these stories,
I
right?
know.
And the impact that we will make. So we'll
And I know it's
focus on that.
beneficial. I know that, I know so many women relate to how I think and process. And now it breaks my heart that so many women can relate
Yes.
to me. But I was not in a good spot at all. Like I was always angry, always felt that I was right, always very entitled. Everything was me in the relationship, and just pointing the finger that you were all wrong. And I was just, yeah. So at UPW, when Tony Robbins asks us just certain questions, I had never even gone there. So we're literally at the event together and answering these questions. And there was a question specifically about, what is your goal for your career? And, where do you see yourself in 5 and 10 years? And I am just like, oh gosh, my goal was like, okay, as long as, Ricardo's making good money, I don't have to worry about it. Like, I'm good. I'm golden. And he looked at me with such disgust. It broke my heart. Like, no matter the arguments that we've had, especially in our dark times, never once did he ever look at me with such disgust. It literally broke my heart. Like, I could not imagine that, I had such a fixed mindset and believed that, truly believed that. And, yeah, it literally started there. Like, that started our conversations going in the right direction. It started, the way that I thought about me, about, what I brought to the relationship. And it made me want to be better, a better person, and, push me out to get a better career. And I'm so thankful. I mean, it sucked. It sucked ass. I do not miss, any of that, but I'm so glad it happened. And I'm so glad that despite all the conversations and comments and, everything that we heard about not participating in the event together, that I was so headstrong that I told you I would only go if we participated together and if we were partners. And I'm so thankful that we
That we
were.
did.
I'm
Yeah, that
so
was definitely
thankful.
a
Like,
blessing
it was to us, for us specifically, it was such a blessing. It took a lot of hard work
because
after that, but it was
we ended
such
up
a blessing.
talking about a lot of things that we would have not talked about.
Correct. Absolutely.
So many things came up at UPW that we would have never ever talked about or touched on,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those deals where it was good that we partnered up because we got to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where I learned, that I did have a fixed mindset. And if I wanted to change that, I was the one that was going to have to do the work. Ricardo couldn't, help me. Ricardo couldn't get me there. And it took, we went in 2014, and
2 years,
oh,
two and a
it
half
took a
years.
good 2.5 years for me to really understand um what that meant, and not only understand what that meant, but implement what I was learning.
Learning.
And that was hard because when you implement new things, of course, we're all human and we look at the person that's next to us, and we're like, well, they're not doing this, so why do I need to do this if they're not, following through with this? And literally I would fall back into all my negative patterns of that fixed mindset. And
It's tough.
that's where the hard work really had to come in, because the whole time, and again, it breaks my heart, but the whole time I had been holding back Ricardo. I had been holding him back from being, who his best self is, because I wasn't pushing him and encouraging him or supporting him the way he needed to. Like, I was not his queen at all. I wasn't even a princess. Like, I wasn't, not even in that realm at that time. And so I was not showing up to who he needed. And that's why I was judging, and just, the way I would talk to him, the way I would think of him, like, just everything that I did was just, now looking back, I'm like, I can't even imagine why he honestly stayed. Like, I was so brutal and evil sometimes, and just hateful. And like, I embarrassed. I feel bad. Like, it breaks my heart that I said this stuff, but all I can do now is just work every day hard for him to see and feel that I am not that person anymore. And constantly show it to him, and I prove it to him by, everything that I do, by what I say, by my actions, by how I show him, that I'm here for him. I don't care. I'm willing to do whatever he wants me to do. I'm there. Like, I don't care if I'm dying, in pain. Like, if he needs me, I'm there. And that's where I didn't understand that for a really long time. I did not understand what he needed and how I needed to support him. I just thought, well, he's not doing it my way, and so he's not showing up. Well, no, he wasn't showing up because I was still judging him. And I still thought that I was right. And
Yeah.
once that all changed, I mean, it seemed like overnight, like someone just, used their little fairy wand, and overnight everything just seemed to, work itself into place, and just, I don't know, it was very magical. Like, it literally, like, I just think of like a Disney movie with the princess, and then the, poof, and all the little magic sparkles, and then, everything is there. And that's how it kind of seemed to happen. I know it didn't happen overnight. I know it was a lot of hard work, but when I finally started seeing it, like, oh my gosh, such an amazing feeling. Like, I loved it. Like, I just loved it. I still do.
Good. So one of the things, like at the UPW, one of the reasons that, let's just kind of recap here. We were at UPW. That one of the exercises that we had to do was we had to work on our goals and talk about our career goals, our life goals, these types of things.
Mhm.
And that was not a conversation that we had before we got together. We didn't talk about goals or dreams or aspirations.
Mm-mm.
And so this was the first time that this actually came up. And your answer to your career goals was shocking to me and disheartening because I've never imagined myself with someone that would rely on me
Mhm.
because I know the goals that I had. I know the things that I wanted to accomplish. I know the things that I wanted to create in my life and that I still do. And I also know that I couldn't do it by myself. Well, let me rephrase that. I could do it by myself if I was alone. I couldn't do it and I can't do it by myself if I'm actually with someone because I can't carry the weight for both of us.
Mhm.
I can't do the work for both of us.
Correct.
So I've never imagined myself with someone that was just like, just do whatever and I don't care as long as you take care of me, but I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna support you. I'm not gonna encourage you. I'm not gonna anything you. You're just gonna do your thing and I'm just gonna be happy and leech off of you.
Yeah.
That's what I heard when you said that.
And I mean,
And
I get it. That's what I said.
yeah, you did. And for me
Yeah.
it was just like, wow, I this is not someone that I imagined myself with. This is not someone that I wanted to be with. I didn't want to be with someone like that.
Mhm.
That wasn't my ideal partner. And so when you actually said that out loud, it was just like, wow, okay, now what? So yes, because I had always saw you as a hardworking person,
Mhm.
that you were not a lazy person, that you were not a lazy bum. But then when you said that, I was like, well, I was mistaking. You were like, I didn't know what to think when you said that.
Mhm.
And so that was my side of it. But as we got along and you made a big shift that over that weekend, that same year, you made a big shift because of that comment. It's
Mhm.
like you literally lit a fire under your own ass.
I did. Well, of course. I mean, like I said, like your face, I could see the heartbreak in your face, and I didn't want that, you know. And at that time, what we are calling our dark our dark times in our marriage, I had never, no matter how hateful or ugly or evil I had ever been to you or said things to you, never had you looked at me that way. Never. And for me, you know, I'm thinking I'm over here being good, not saying anything ugly, and I'm just being honest with you and vulnerable, which was something that I hadn't ever really been with you. I've always at until that time I had always, you know, had walls up, and so we didn't really share a lot of information. And the first time that I share, you know, with you and I'm vulnerable to you and I have my walls down, I literally can see the heartbreak in your face. And that was like a huge slap to my face. And I knew I had to do better. I had to. Like that just I didn't want you to be looking at me like that. I didn't even know how you felt about it. We never even talked about it. Because I didn't want to. I
Correct.
didn't want to just go back there. I wanted to move forward as fast as I could. I wanted to run to, you know, forward goals, just anything. I wanted to run so fast because it had just literally broken my heart that, you know, you were looking at me like that. So I never
Well, but
wanted
it was
that there.
because I knew that it wasn't gonna work. At that point, I knew this was never gonna work because I was not gonna drag you everywhere that I needed to go in life and in success and in goals. Like
Yeah,
that's not what I want.
yeah,
I don't want someone who's just not gonna contribute to the household.
yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, but immediately after that weekend, you made some radical changes.
I had to.
Before we even had those tough conversations.
Correct. I mean, I had to. Like that was
So
I
was
had
that the
to light a
moment?
fire.
Was that the moment that
I was literally, you know, Tony talks about just full immersion, and I was immersing myself in as much information as I could. However, I wasn't implementing it. So to me, that is still a fixed mindset person. They think they want growth, but they're not actually doing the work.
Mhm.
And I was still judging you, you know, because you wouldn't do this or you wouldn't do that. And I was still, there was so much judgment and a growth to me, my, you know, assumption is a person with a growth mindset doesn't judge someone like that. Do they have human moments? Of course. But it was more than just a human moment for me, you know, and so it was a constant thing. And literally at one day it just all hit me in my face and everything just it literally just fell into place. Like everything, all the work that I had been doing finally clicked. And it seems like it happened overnight. I know it didn't because it was several years in the making, but it seemed like it happened overnight where all this stuff that I've been learning, I'm now living in and I'm now seeing, you know, the results of the change in behavior, the change in language, the change in love, like just everything about me had changed. And now it was so much easy. It was just easier for you um to just, you know, I don't know, to get along. I don't even know what I was saying, so I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's okay. It's a lot that we're talking about here, right? Um, but that was a big thing. So here's test episode 1. One of the things that we encourage everyone to do is talk about your goals. What are your dreams? Where do you want to be in life? Your career goals, your personal goals, any type of goal, it's important for you to talk about it.
Mhm.
It's important to talk about it. And it's important to determine if you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. That's also part of the conversation that needs to be had. Is, do you have a fixed mindset and do you have a growth mindset? And at least that's a start, right? Because that was the start for you.
Mhm. So on your end, how did you feel about did you at that point did you realize that I did have a fixed mindset?
Oh yeah, I thought we were doomed. I thought that was it. Because I was just like, wow, okay. So we had to come here to Tony Robbins for this event in order for me to find this out.
Mhm.
Because I assumed that you had a growth mindset because of your past. Because I mean, you had businesses, you were an entrepreneur, you were always you had done these things before you met me.
Mhm.
So, based on those things, I assumed that you had a growth mindset.
So would that assumption be that everyone that's an entrepreneur has a growth mindset?
Clearly, I was mistaken. you know, I mean, because at least I thought that you had aspirations and goals and big dreams.
Mhm.
When the truth was that you really didn't.
Mhm. Yeah,
It
that's
was
the
almost
truth.
it was almost like your biggest goal in life was to stay above water and keep your head above water.
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Oh no."
you're right. I mean, at that time in my life, that's what I had learned. That's what I grew up around, that's what I saw. So, yes, that is what I, just made in my life. Just swim with the water up to my neck, just with my
And
head floating. So
and and
that's what
my
it was.
goal was to get away from that lifestyle.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be broke. I didn't want to just barely keep my head above water.
Yeah.
That
I
was
get it.
never my thing. So for you to, when you said that to me, when you said that you were just kind of like, "Oh, well, whatever you want to do, and I just want you to take care of me," I was like, "Oh, hell no. Fuck that."
Yeah, you weren't about that life.
I was not about that life. For sure.
Yeah, I
For
get that.
sure. So what happened after that? Tell your story about the end of 2014.
I'm not sure what part you want me to tell. So,
The career
after
change, whatever,
oh, okay.
some of those big things that happened right after that.
Okay, so after, that, I did get a career change where I doubled my salary 3 months after, UPW, and I just, continued to move forward and upward in that, trajectory as far as my career because I wanted to better myself. And the more that I just learned and, implemented the work that I was doing, it it just got work got easier, work got better, and, of course, our relationship could just continue to get better. And not only that, like all of the businesses that we have, I totally changed the way I was helping you. And not only was I helping you, I fully 100% agreed on our mission and on our goals. And I was there with you and I wanted to do the work and I wanted to, whatever needed to get done. I didn't know what needed to get done, but I wasn't just because I didn't know what needed to get done doesn't mean that I wasn't willing to do it. So, I'm like, hey, you tell me what to do. I will do it. I don't know what to do, but I don't mind, either you telling me, or if I have to figure it out, I'll figure it out. So I just completely changed on just everything. And the one thing that changed the biggest is that you were my confidant. You are my confidant. You are, everything. And so we talk about everything, even when, it's about each other. We still go to each other. We don't talk about our relationship to anyone else. Everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, it stays between us, and we work it out. And that's, one of the main things that I learned, that I wanted that. I didn't want anyone else to know anything about us. I wanted to work everything out through us. And I wanted you to truly know and believe that, dude, I am here for you. I am your ride or die. I am down. Like, whatever needs to happen, I am here. And I had to, show you by just constantly showing up and, proving to you, like, hey, I know what I was in the past, but I'm here and I'm different, and I'm not that same person, and I will consistently continue to do whatever needs to get done for you to know that I'm still here and I'm still willing to work hard, So
So at
it
what
was
point did you
interesting.
know you had a growth mindset?
I
Or at what point did you realize, like, oh, you know what? I am actually closer to a growth mindset than I am to a fixed mindset.
So I still think that I struggle with it. I don't know that it's interesting because I don't still think that I have a growth mindset. I'm now willing to learn, and I am willing to implement. But because I had been so long, with a fixed mindset, it's hard. That shit doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't just go away. So it's a constant battle. I have to tell myself this is what we're going to do today, and this is what's going to happen. And so am I getting better? Absolutely. I know I am, because again, I feel it and I see it, and I see it in, the way I communicate with people, and the relationships that I have, and how I treat you and how I treat my family. I haven't always had the best relationships with some of the people in my family, and the fact that I can have decent conversations with them and, not lose my shit and not, go off the rails with them, that's such improvement. But can I be better? Absolutely. So I still feel that I'm in that mode, that I'm learning, and I'm going to continue to learn. And I've just enjoyed it. I've just enjoyed all this time that I constantly, what I learn, and we implement anything that we learn, we implemented it into our son, and I love it. I love that he's, working through things now at his age, because I don't want him to have and a fixed mindset. I want him to understand the difference and to see the difference and to, communicate better.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I've
I
always
think
known you had a growth mindset after I realized what a growth mindset was.
I still get stuck though. I still
You
get
do,
stuck.
but not the same. Your struggle is not the same. I mean, come on, Ricardo. You got into self-development when you were 15. You stole the freaking book from the library to a
I
self-development
didn't
book.
steal it. I
Okay.
checked it out and never returned it. That's a difference. It's not like I went and stole the book.
Okay, fair enough.
I checked it out and never returned it.
Okay, but my point
Two
is,
totally different things.
fair enough, fair enough. I thank you for clarifying. But my point is, you had been doing this for 20 plus years by the time that I got involved in the situation. So, I mean, I still feel like, I'm an infant, like I feel like this is, oops, I'm sorry. I feel like this is baby me learning, like we're in my toddler phases. You've been in your teenage phase and your, 20s. So it's I still feel like I'm learning. So I don't want to say that I have a growth mindset yet, um, because I still want to learn and I still want to implement, and I don't know, like something. I guess I'm a little afraid to say, "Oh, I officially have a growth mindset," because I don't want to get cocky. Like I want to continue to grow and learn, And if I continue to just think that, oh, I have a fixed mindset, I I would just shove more stuff in my brain. Like that's how it's, I've kind of evolved into the last few years. And so I am, now that you're asking me, I am kind of afraid to admit, okay, yes, I, have a growth mindset, but I know that you've always had one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Our friend Levi says, "I totally feel that I have the world in front of me, and I get to do and be whatever I want. I have a I totally have a growth mindset." He owns it. It's okay to own it.
I know, and that's
And
good.
and I do think that we revert back and forth. I think there's moments, just like everything else, just like masculine, feminine, and which we'll be talking on later on in other episodes, right? We
Mhm.
have a core mindset, fixed or growth.
Yeah.
And that obviously that can evolve or change, but it's your core mindset. You're not
Yeah.
stuck there, right? You're not
Yeah,
stuck.
and I don't think I'm stuck there. I think mine is
But
evolving. It's just not
but we do have
100% evolved.
but we do have moments of a growth mindset and moments of a fixed mindset, even though at our
Absolutely.
core we are whatever mindset,
Yeah. I mean, we're
right?
going to because again, we're human. So it's just our human tendencies to default, we go back to default mode. And
Correct.
what is your default mode? Mine is I'm angry and I'm always right. So that's just my default mode, and I work really hard to not feel that I'm constantly right and not to get angry.
Correct.
But that is my default. Like that is my default and I know it and I work through it daily. I'm not always successful, especially when horrible things happen. I'm not successful, but I work through it. And the fact that I know that I'm capable of working through it now, it makes me happy.
And that's the growth mindset.
And again, I'm working through that. Now that you
You
said that,
are.
now that I'm realizing, oh, okay, I now understand I'm fearful of it. Like I get that. So I will work through that. And I
You
know that
will.
I will get, to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I definitely have a growth mindset. It's just I'm still a little scared and it'll be okay.
That is okay. Levi is bringing it tonight. He says, "So far as relationships have been a concern, my mindset has never been fixed. I've always been open to finding out what can happen." That's definitely a growth mindset.
That's good for you, Livy. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, that's definitely the mindset of like, "Oh, it can happen. It can change. I can succeed. I can achieve this." That's the
Mhm.
growth mindset.
Yeah.
This was a good conversation, babe.
It's a very good conversation. Do
I
you
didn't
want
pl-
to add anything else?
I think I'm good. I didn't plan on us going 38 minutes. Yeah, once I get over 20-ish, I'm like, "Oh man, it's gonna take me forever to edit this down."
Well, I don't think you have that many edits today, except
You
probably this
know?
end.
But I still have to listen to it and just clean it up. So,
Mhm.
but that means I have to listen to it for 38 minutes
Okay.
again, even though I recorded it. But that's okay though. That's okay. It is what it is. So comment below. This is me and Jesse's relationship podcast as of right now, untitled. Comment below if you have an idea for the name of the title for us. And if you win, we'll send you a book from our library. How about that?
Oh, we need to get rid of some books. So
We do
yes,
need to get rid of some books. So we'll
we
say
have
it.
lots of duplicates and triplicates. It's
The,
ridiculous.
correct. So the winner of the Name the Podcast contest will get a book from our library.
So the one I've already thrown out that you said no to was Marriage, the Good, the Bad, the Ugly with Ricardo and Jesse. You didn't like that. I
I
dropped the
didn't.
marriage part and I said The Good, the Bad, the Ugly with Ricardo and Jesse, and you didn't like that either.
That's not it either.
And then what else? What was the other one? I think it was like I do no, I can't remember, but it was something about the vows.
It's all good.
Yeah,
We're rambling now.
we are rambling.
But either way, comment below. throw out a name, what we should name the Ricardo and Jesse show, that's not going to be the title, by the way. That might be the working title, but that's not going to be the title. So,
The Leons.
The Leons are on fire, is what Levi says. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Make sure you follow us at Force for Growth, because whatever we end up doing will be under the Force for Growth brand. So everything and all the podcasts that we are producing can be found on forceforgrowth.com. And remember,
to live. I don't know. I forgot. I'm sorry.
And remember to always be a force for good.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's do it again.
You're fired. We're not even getting past the test episode. You're fired.
Okay. And as always, remember to be a force for good,
a force for growth,
and a force for greatness. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.